Right, here we go. Just getting everything ready here now. Get the microphone on. We got live. I don't know who's joined us, but good morning and welcome to Saturday Morning Live with Johnyboy for the Saturday Morning Podcast. As supported, not sponsored, as supported by ITS, the tool people. You can go to their website, www.its.co.uk, where you can order you can have your tools for the next day if you order for 7 the day before. Remember, you can order from ITS 7 days a week. Now we've got that out of the way. Big thank you to Ben Thompson of ITS for supporting the Saturday Morning Podcast. That's really, really appreciated. Young Ben. I'm just getting all ready. So as per usual, it's absolutely chaos. It's in the undisclosed location. That's what we're going to call it this morning. You can see the Green Top Landscape branding behind me, and you know how important branding is. I've got my branding on this morning, grey on top. I've got my black below, and I'm ready to go. It's as simple as that. Now, I hope you can hear me. Just remember, with ITS, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, or even where you're going, if you put in, you're ordering over £100 worth of tools, you can get your free remote control truck. All you have to do is put in the promo code Johnny Truck. John Ward, good morning, son. Here we are, mate. Thank you very much. I'm looking, John, for you this morning, Alison made me have a shave this morning and smarten myself up because it's Saturday morning. I want to let things go, but she said you've got to be on your ball because John Ward will be joining. Well, here we are. Don't forget, John, if you're ordering from ITS, you can get this free, this remote control truck from ITS if you put in the promo code Johnyboy. There we are. Look at that. It's not bad, is it? Absolutely fantastic. So we'll put that to one side. John, thanks for joining. It's always good to see you on here, and I really appreciate your comments the other day on the recent video. What I'm going to be doing this morning, I'm going to just show. Oh, Alison, there we go. We're not quite 100% there at the moment. We got probably a couple of people going to be calling in this morning. And what I wanted to say was that I will respond to everybody's email, everybody's comments. I will be speaking to everybody at some point. It's just been a bit difficult lately because we've been so busy, and what I'm doing when I'm doing this landscaping and doing these podcasts and all what I'm doing on YouTube, it becomes a little bit chaos to say the least sometimes. But I have got a great support mechanism by the means of the goddess herself, Alison, my wife, and my colleague Eloy. He's over there in the corner. He'll just shout hello.
Hello, John.
There we are. You can have a little look. There he is. There he is over there. That's my colleague there. He's joining the live stream this morning. Good to see him on here. Loyal friend. Friends and friendship is a funny thing, isn't it? Like, you with friends, you don't get really many really good friends, do you? John Ward says, "Can I smell the aftershave?" John, well, mate, love your info and appreciate your effort. Hey, John, I appreciate you joining and the support you give me. And all it says to me about you is that you're very, very kind. It's so important that we share and do these live podcasts. Sorry?
Bring your microphone in.
Oh, I'm getting information now from Debbie McGee over there. The dogs are barking in the background. And as you can see, this is real. It's happening now. What I wanted to show you, I'm going to just bear with me a sec. I'm going to turn you around here. You can have a little look over this side. It's absolutely fine. Over here, this is where I keep a lot of the camera here. Okay, that's where we keep the GoPro. So important with the GoPro. Got a couple of GoPros, which is. I want to show you that this is the Canon 80D. All right, and I'm going to go over this again because we will be going live soon. Look at it, it's chaos. That's the battery drop down. There's the Canon. Okay. It's an absolutely fantastic camera, and we've got the Rode mic with it, and it does work, and I've used it several times, but it's an expensive camera. I'm not going to use that on site. It's got this liquid crystal display on that side, comes out like this, very easy to film, fantastic camera, and the sound on that, even without the Rode microphone, is absolutely brilliant. But I don't want to be using that on site. I'm about to change to an iPhone from the Samsung, and apparently the camera is absolutely excellent, John. I don't know what you actually use, but I'm going to be using an iPhone for the first time. Somewhere over there, we've got a Sony camera over there, but we'll have a look at that after. I hope you can hear me then. Patrick Dyer from Chameleon Landscapes up there in Sheffield. I had a chat to Patrick, and he wanted to come back on, and I wanted him back on because he does offer so much, and it's so valuable, the information that he's given us, and it helps the consumer, and it'll help other contractors, and it's good for Patrick to talk about what he does, because why not share it? John, and I nearly did put the aftershave on there. Alison takes team. Yeah, you and Alison make a good team. Yeah, thank you, John. Really appreciate it. Yeah, as I said, we got Patrick calling in this morning, and Patrick's going to be talking about a number of things. If you've got any questions for Patrick, he operates up there in Yorkshire, Sheffield, and he's just known over in Sheffield. Everybody knows him. His work is quality. He's a great guy. He will be calling at some point. I'm not just anticipating the call yet, but we got Sian as well. Sian will be calling in at 11 o'clock, and she'll be asking some questions about what soil is the best for raised beds. And as per usual, I've been checking up on YouTube, okay, because that's what you do. And just to remind myself of certain elements that we have to remind ourselves when we are using raised beds. It's nothing wrong with using YouTube as a reference, or even Google whatsoever. Though I went to college in 2004, and I studied garden design and plant management. Even for myself, I have to just go over things and just remind myself about where we are, because we're not in that practice every day. You know, it's the same as some people do paving, some people do woodwork, some people do brickwork, but as a landscaper, it's multiple disciplines. Just going to read through some of the comments this morning before Patrick Dyer calls in. Just have a look what the time is. We are expecting him very shortly. He's making his way back from the beach at the moment. Yeah, the beach. Where are the darker outer slabs from around the edge? Well, the darker outer slabs, Georgie, are basically, they've been cut from a contrasting color to form that picture frame. We don't buy them, we cut them. So we'll make up decide what size that we want, and we'll cut those up. But you've got to make sure when you're cutting porcelain, make sure that your PPE, you're wearing your glasses, etc. But if you use it you've got to really use it for a wet cut. You just can't buy those. Maybe somebody can tell me where to buy them from, because it'd make life a lot more easier. We've got a message here from Sean. Sean says, "Hi Johnny, paint that orange gully black. It will look perfect." Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, Sean. There, I did put that gully in, and it's that usual orange color. And I was trying to get hold of some galv ones, but you just can't order them. You can order them, but they just take weeks to come in. And the galv would have looked a lot better. And we will probably take that one out because they're universal, the galv ones, and we'll be able to change that over. So that's a good observation, Sean, and well pointed out. Robert Kilner, love the videos. My clients have bought 10mm porcelain in around their pool and anti-slip. Could I use Seeker Latex 360 instead of SBR, as it's not available in France for the slurry bond? Yeah, I suppose you've got to be careful when I'm recommending products, because you've got to make sure that you check out the product and the value of it, and it'd be so easy to get onto their website and look at their products, and you'll be able to get some installation technical advice on that. But latex itself, SBR is a rubber solution, and the latex, that's what it is, Seeker Latex. Well, here we are. I've got a caller coming in now. We know it is. Here he comes. Hello.
Hi, Johnny.
Patrick, I'm going to ask you to call back, because I pressed the wrong button. So if you can give me a ring back, I'll get you back on there. Sorry, mate.
All right, mate.
Cheers, bud. There we are. As usual, I get it wrong because I'm not a techie. So Patrick's going to call back in the meantime. Let's see if I can get... here we go. Now I'll get it right this time. Answer the call. Audio. That one there. Patrick.
Morning.
There we are. I got you now. You're on Bluetooth. Patrick Dyer from Chameleon Landscapes. Welcome to the Saturday morning podcast with Johnyboy. How you doing?
I'm
Very, very well, Johnny. Thank you very much for asking. Thank you for inviting me along to the podcast.
Nah, we want you on as a regular on here without a shadow of a doubt. It'll be a good tag team, to say the least. I was just explaining to our audience at the moment that you were making your way back from the beach.
Yes, I was making my way back from the beach. I've just gone for a little walk and to go back. So just clear my head this morning.
Patrick, just we'll have new viewers on here this morning. They'll be watching this later on. Can you just remind our audience and our future audience of who you are, where you're from, and what you do, and how handsome you are?
Well, I'm not as handsome as you, Johnny, but I do try. I think you're winning me on the silver fox stakes, but I am trying to catch you up.
No.
My name's Patrick Dwyer from Chameleon Landscaping Limited, and we're based all over Yorkshire. And we offer a full landscape design garden service. We've been established just over 14 years now, and I've been in this business and this industry for nearly 20 years.
It's a long time, isn't it? It's a long time. You over that period, you've done your apprenticeship, haven't you? Really?
Been about 10 times, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
Yeah. But you're still learning. You're always learning. So every day's a school day, as they say. If you're wanting to succeed in this industry and you're wanting to be top of your game, you've always got to look at new products and new procedures and everything else, and just to stay ahead of the field and lead the way. And hopefully, that's what we're trying to achieve at Chameleon Landscaping Limited.
Well, you do. Look, there's a word that gets used in the landscaping industry and the home improvements is the wow factor. You put some wow in one of your gardens the other day with that big screen. Can you tell our audience about that?
We had a full design, just completed it. We're just waiting for glass balustrades and everything else. And as you can appreciate, with COVID and everything, and product materials and everything else we can't get that many materials in. So
it's difficult, isn't it?
It's very difficult. So we're waiting for the glass balustrade glass system to come in, but we've had a big giant projector screen.
I've seen it. Fantastic.
I would say it's probably 8 meters by 4 meters. And there's obviously a hot tub.
The screen is, sorry, Patrick, the screen is 8 meters by 4 meters.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so where'd you put the projector? What happens? Tell us about it.
The projector, we've got inside plugs, we've got outside plugs, IP rated 65, and then the client just brings this projector out, and we've built like a little table for him to pop it on. So when he's sat in hot tub, he can watch whatever film he wants, and there's surround sound speakers and everything all the way around the garden as well.
And I can imagine sort of when we come out of this lockdown and this COVID period is start sort of dissipating, and so we're going to be having, without a doubt, somebody's going to be having a big party now, aren't they?
Oh, big time, yeah. Well, the client's already invited us out, so really, really great clients actually. And the house, what we did the project on, won a load of awards in, I think it was 2012 for efficiency, environmental friendly. It's a really state-of-the-art house, white rendered walls.
Oh, it must be absolutely wonderful working on those types of projects, Patrick. Patrick, one thing you said there was that will you be invited to a party? Because you said you get on well with a client. Can you just tell us about the relationship sometimes that you build with your clients, because in a way they have the same ethos as what you do. They work hard, don't they?
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, Johnny, a lot of my clients have turned into good friends. So you do build friendships with your clients, and I'm not going to say that every single client we have would become friends, but a lot of them have become good friends of mine, because you build that relationship up. And as a client, they're obviously putting the trust in you as a contractor, and you've got a big responsibility to deliver their hard-earned cash, and being as pleasurable as possible, because at the end of the day, they're spending their money.
Yeah.
And you need to make the process a very enjoyable process rather than a stress-free.
So there's
rather than being stressed.
Yeah, there's a real simple ethos with this. There's just a mutual respect, and you want to treat people how you would like to be treated, wouldn't you?
Definitely. I always said to my guys, always don't get too comfortable with us clients, so we keep that professional distance.
Yeah.
And then after the project's been delivered and everybody's happy, then you can start getting more friendly. But until the project's completed and the client's 100% happy, we always keep that professional distance and give them that professional service. Yeah,
familiarity sort of breeds complacency, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course it does. And, I always said to the guys, look, we've got to make sure that, if the client's, however the client is, we've still got to treat them in a professional manner. It doesn't matter whether they're having a £5,000 project or a £75,000, £80,000 project. Everyone gets treated the same. And it's all about standards and keeping that experience up for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm listening to every word you're saying now. It's so important. Look, I just want to know, I've seen your work, right? And I've seen the videos and I see what you do. It's absolutely mind-blowing. But tell me about the guys, the type of guys that want to come and work for you, Patrick, and are working for you. Tell me a little bit about them. And do you have any job opportunities at the moment?
Yeah, we're rapidly expanding at the moment. We've obviously seen a massive exponential growth of the business. We've just took on another 2 staff. We've got 6 staff at the moment, and we've got a full-time designer on board as well.
Right, okay.
Doing all our design work. And then there's my wife, Kelly. She works in the background in the office, and we've just took on 1, 2, 3, and I've just took on an immigrant as well.
Sorry?
Interesting.
Did you say you took on?
An immigrant, a refugee. I've just took on a refugee. He's just got his British national status.
Have you really?
And yeah.
So, I think we touched upon this. Tell me what inspired you about this young man. Tell me a little bit about him.
He struggles. People are quick to judge, and this can be quite an explosive topic with a lot of people, and people assume a lot about immigrants and everything else. And I met this young chap. He'd come. I gave him a couple of days trial, and to be honest with you, his work ethic is second to none.
Really?
I sat down and I had a good chat. With him a week ago, and he's told me about his struggles back where he's from, and the things what he's seen and the things what he's done, and he's over here trying to make a better life for himself and to try and look after his family who are in war-torn areas abroad. So I think there's a massive opportunity for us as a business to be equal with everything we do and be honest and transparent. And I love the fact that he's here. He brings a different twist to the team, and it's just diversity.
Can we ask? Can we ask some detail about it? Can we ask what his name is?
His name is Nature Van.
Right, okay. And can we ask where he's from, Patrick? I love this, and I think that this is a thing, you see, Patrick.
He's from Kurdistan.
He's from Kurdistan, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously he was there when everything and the ISIS and everything else. So it's told me some very interesting story, but it's not really daytime.
Do you know, Patrick? I can, and I can see that, right? But let me just say, I've been talking to somebody this week, and I've been using the phrase is that some people don't know they're born these days from this country, do they? Let's be honest.
No, and if the viewers actually sat down and spoke to this guy. He's a very educated chap. He had his own business out there. He loves working outdoors. He's he's really well spoken in English. He's learned over the last 2 years. His work ethic is second to none, and he just wants to have a better life. He sends money over for his mum and dad's medical bills out in Kurdistan because obviously he needs to look after them. But yeah, it's inspiring actually. To be honest with
I think it's a fantastic story, Patrick. And don't worry ever about sort of touching on subjects that is quite explosive with some people, because at the end of the day, the British have been migrant workers for many, many years. And I remember going out to Germany in the 90s, where Germany was invaded with Brits working on sites. Not all good Brits either, I might add. They were probably a little bit embarrassing in some respect, what I actually see. But there were some good ones as well. There were some excellent ones that respected the country, respected the people. And it doesn't mean to say that people can come to this country and do the same thing as well, especially when they want to work and give something back, isn't it?
Well, yeah, my dad was an immigrant, come over from Ireland.
Right, okay.
And he helped to build the country back up after the Second World War. So, I do empathise with people, and yeah, it is quite an explosive, opinionated.
It's a hot topic
to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, touching back on my guys, I've got. It's took me a long time to get my team together, and I've got a guy called Richard Banks. He's.
I know him.
He's brought a. Yeah, you know Richard.
Yeah.
But yeah, Richard's brought a really good fresh air to the business. He's somebody who I can rely on. He's my right-hand man. And I know things are getting taken care of while I'm not around and doing things office-based or whatever. And we've got another guy called Jonathan. He's a team leader. And then we've got Craig and Tony and Phil as well, and Nash. So yeah, it's going really well.
Does Richard have a particularly set of skills? I don't mean to go and kill somebody like Liam Neeson, but
yeah, I think Richard is very diplomatic in his approach. I think what you'll probably find with my team, a lot of my guys who work for me are just really low key. They just let the work do the talking.
Yeah,
they're really humble about what they do. They're passionate about what they do. I've got a really good set of lads, and it took a long time to get that mixture right. I've had people come and go, and if they didn't sit well within the team, I won't get them in. But we're all of the same sort of mindset, wanting to have a better life for ourselves and move forward.
Has it been difficult building that team up? Have you had to be patient? Has it been frustrating? What's been the difficulties in trying to find people? What's been the problem?
I think the difficulty is in our industry. You've got a lot of people what actually think they're better than what they actually are, and they'll come on site and they'll say they've done this, they've done that, and you know me, Johnny. You know what my standards are like.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's getting that right person, and it's not all about. I'd rather have somebody who's got the right attitude and wants to work than somebody with a really good skill set and a bad attitude. Because at the end of the day, if somebody's got the right attitude, they're gonna progress in the business and they'll grow with the business. But if somebody's got a bad attitude, it doesn't matter how good they are at laying paving or whatever. They're just going to create rot in your business.
Yeah, and good attitude comes by when you get up in the morning, you make your bed, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's what they say. Once you,
yeah.
once it's the same thing. It's a bit of a military thing. Is you get up in the morning, you make your bed, and no matter what happens in the rest of the day, when you come back, that you know that your bed has been made. So you start off right from the word go. Even if it's a quilt that we use, like we don't necessarily have to make bed blocks, but we can pull the quilt back, we can shake it up, fluff it up, make it look nice. When we come back, it's going to be a good feeling. So you start the day and you finish the day as you mean to go on, isn't it?
Yeah, and with my guys, it's about accountability and responsibility. So we really make we're looking at every day at what procedures we've got in place and what we're doing. At the moment, we're working on as a team. We're wanting to improve our PPE and our health and safety. So at the moment, I've obviously spoke to the lads, and the lads are consciously aware that they need to be better at PPE, but they're consciously incompetent. But we need to make them subconsciously competent. So it needs to become second nature. So we're working on that, and we're always working on different facets of business. It's not just about us doing a good job. It's about how we react to customers, how we clean down the site at the end of the day.
I love what you talked about. They're subconsciously conscious of what they're actually doing. It's almost like in the military when you do an NSP, which is a normal safety precaution. Your finger is always making sure that you're on safety, isn't it? You're thinking about these things. Yeah. It's almost like, Patrick, it's like applying the highway code book. Once you've learnt it, it's there. It's embedded in the back of your mind, isn't it?
Yeah, and the thing is, I've helped quite a few guys out on the survivors group with and give them advice in reference to the health and safety. And obviously, our industry, as you know, John, it can be a very dangerous industry, and there's a lot of things which can do a lot of harm. But there has to be that implementation of health and safety and all the checks. We have. As a company, we have got a full environmental policy. We've got a full child protection policy. We've got our competency check sheets with all our staff, so they have a 3-month review on their competency on site. All our staff, we've got 3 staff which are first aid trained. I've got 2 staff going on a trauma first aid train.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so impressive that you're on it, aren't you? That's the thing. You want to improve in every area.
Yeah, and it's if you improve every area, when you're improving them areas, that's where the professionalism comes, and it becomes second nature. Before you know it, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Patrick, it might sound a stupid question, right? But sum it up in a few words. How important is it for your potential client base to understand what you've got in place in respect of PPE? How important is it for them to realize what you've got? When you go along, you pitch to a client, how important is it for them to know about that?
It's really important, because at the end of the day, if the clients have got contractors on site, they want to know that the contractor they've hired to do their project or whatever they're doing, they feel confident that it's a professional organisation, and it doesn't matter how small you are, whether you've got a 2-man team or a 3-man team or a 20-man team. You've got to put your professionalism and health and safety at the forefront. I had my last client where we just spoke about with the projector street. He turned around to me and he turned around to the lad. He said, "I've had contractors on my property before, and I couldn't wait for them to leave." He says, "But you guys have been nothing but professional, and you've been a pleasure to have at my home."
Oh, wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
And that just speaks volumes for the guys, and it's just the way they carry themselves and everything. The guys wash the jobs down every single day.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Patrick, I've got to say now we're getting to that time where we are going to have another caller coming in soon, but it's always a pleasure having you on here. Thank you for giving the time. It's I really appreciate it. Will you join me again on a live stream and see if we can pick a topic? Maybe we'll have some questions. If we plug you this week, we'll have some questions for you next week. Do you fancy doing it?
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Look, just quickly before you go, just say again, where can people find you?
We're Chameleon Landscaping Limited. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, all the social media, Facebook. We're based in Yorkshire, and we do a full design and makeover service. If you check out our website and our...
Thanks for joining. Take care. Be safe. Love you, brother.
See you later, brother.
Bye-bye. Well, wasn't that nice? Eh? Wasn't that nice and refreshing? And it's always the same. I have to cut people a little bit short because we have got another caller coming in. Hopefully, Sian will be talking about raised beds. She wants some information about some raised bed. It's good to see everybody's comments on here. I'm just trying to read what Kurum said there. Kurum Chowdhury says, you don't know what you're doing wrong, then be aware of what you're doing wrong. Then may move. There we go. Here we go. I'll call her. Hello.
Hello.
Is that Sean?
It is. Hiya.
Sean, thank you very much for joining. Just to let you know that you are live on YouTube now. Your voices, anyway.
Sorry?
You're live on YouTube now, so your voice, you are being recorded and people across the country can hear what you're saying.
All right, I won't swear.
No, it's fine.
What Tina used to say.
No, look, Sean, thanks for calling. You know who I am, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, look, how can I help you this morning?
So, yeah, first day of spring, thought I would finally get round to the very long overdue job of building a bit of a raised bed to, grow a few veggies, get the boys into, gardening and things.
Yeah.
So I've bought some oak planks, some untreated oak planks.
Fantastic.
To construct it with. I'm just wondering whether, once it's built, do I need to kind of line it in any way before I chuck the soil in, or can I just lob it in and get planting?
Well, I think it's great that you actually. Can I just ask? Can I ask how old your boys are?
7 and 5.
And what's their names?
Noah and Joseph.
Well, what a wonderful mother teaching their boys, some of the most important values in life, and to get planting, which is great, isn't it? And hopefully they'll be eating from it this summer.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, first and foremost, I think the thing is raised beds. How high are you going to go with your raised bed?
It's going to be a fairly low one, about half a metre or so.
Okay, that's good though, because that gives you quite a comfortable height to work at, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and high enough, that the kids can get in there as well.
Well, I think first and foremost, Sean.
Low enough.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, you've got to just make sure that that's constructed in a good solid way. And I'm more than happy to call by it sometime and have a quick look if you want me to do that. If you're local, that's no problem at all. I can come and have a look and even have a chat to you about that. So, and that's just showing my appreciation about joining this live stream. The other thing, of course, is make sure that it's built correctly, because you don't want to be building something and then the next thing you know that the sides have blown out or whatever. So the dimensions of that raised bed is so important to ensure the integrity. Secondly, any raised bed, what you're doing, you're creating an environment where you can actually create an environment to grow anything that you would like, that you desire to go in there. But you've got to remember is that the most important thing is the soil. The soil, you want a dark, rich soil first and foremost. If you're picking up a dark soil, you're halfway there. The likelihood that it's looking good. If it's looking good, you're probably on the right road. The other thing, you want a really good, rich loam as well. Loam is so important in a raised bed. Now, what you're doing is you want like all the nutrients like magnesium and phosphorus and potassium and all those other bits, but you're only going to be able to introduce those into the soil if you put them in there. So things like mushroom compost, okay, which is good. Now, I remember years ago when I wanted a really good lawn. I wanted it to be really good aerated, and so that the soil could breathe. And that's the same sort of thing that you want with your raised bed. And one of the things that I wanted to introduce into it, which is good for the soil, is worm activity. Okay. Now, I phoned up a worm farm and I spoke to a gentleman there, and all this will be relevant. And I said, look, I want to introduce some worms. I want to get some worm activity and just get it going so it can breathe, because good soil needs to breathe, you see. And he said, you can buy some worms. But he said to me, they'll arrive. And I thought, what do you mean they'll arrive? Imagine worms arriving with a suitcase. And he said, I know, it's incredible. When a bird lands, you can have as many as 60 eggs on a bird's foot. So you know, when you so the eggs, you're going to get the birds landing on there, and you are going to get worm activity, and worms are going to start going into the ground. But you can actually buy, Sean, you can actually buy worm cast. Did you know that?
No.
Yes, you can get the worm cast, mushroom compost, worm cast as well, so you can introduce that into your soil. Now, what I would try and avoid, and everybody seems to go for it, is that manure is good, but you've got to avoid horse manure, okay? And the reason well-rotted horse manure is because it's basically with the horse manure, it has I don't know, it's not, I can't find the word now. It's not like a pathogen, but it has something in there that just ruins everything. It's not really good. So you want to be using like a cow manure would probably be better.
Okay.
Use a cow. You can actually buy that. So, and you can introduce pellets as well. So basically, what you're doing, you're introducing more sort of fertilizers that is going to get the soil moving and active. Because have you got the soil for it at the moment?
No, I haven't.
Well, that's the other thing. It's sometimes when we import soil from a trusted source, we hope that it is trusted, because we don't know what we're bringing into the garden, you see. That's the thing about it. Do you have, where the raised beds are going to be, is it on a lawn or an existing ground?
Yeah, it's just on, at the edge of the garden.
Well, what I would suggest is that if it is a lawn there, what you can do is you can turn that soil over and keep the grass in there, because the grass will introduce nitrogen and phosphorus as well, and you're going to turn that over, and that grass then is going to help to aerate. What's the ground like there, Sean? Is it because you're in Newport?
Yeah, it's quite. Well, I've only been here for a year and not done an awful lot in that time, but it's quite clay, quite wet.
Okay, so what you need to do, so if it's quite wet, you're going to have to introduce some sort of gritty product. And what I would suggest is maybe a sharp sand, turn the grass over, get some sharp sand in there and start breaking that, because with the clay is made up of like platelets, they call PEDs. And these PEDs, what happens is that they don't allow the water to permeate down. And what the last thing you'd want, I suppose, is having the root of the plants or the veg actually sitting in water, because it's just going to rot the roots, isn't it? The root system. Yeah. What do you intend to plant in there, Sean?
Well, I've got a bit of a beast of a rhubarb plant already that I brought from my previous house. We've had it for, I reckon, 8 years now.
Right, okay.
And I think even in its third year, we managed, in the course of a year, to get 20 kilos off it.
Have you really?
So it's a good producer.
Did you actually make anything from it?
Yeah, lots and lots of rhubarb crumble, and rhubarb yogurt, rhubarb jam, rhubarb ice cream.
Oh my God. That's fantastic. Do you have any jam available now? So if I was to come down next week and bring some soil for you, right? Do I have a pot of jam?
Or if you could put in an order,
All right.
and I could make some from the next. It's already growing really well, despite having been in a rubble sack for most of the last year.
Well, look, I think what I can do for you in the next couple of weeks, I'd love to pop down, have a look, no problem at all, and I could probably even bring you some soil, that the soil is trusted. I think that's the thing, Sean, is that if you needed soil, is you've got to be so careful about where you're getting it from. So when you turn that grass over and it's a bit clay, then you can start introducing some sharp sand, some gritty product into there to make sure you get good drainage. You do it, like I said, you don't want that sitting around. What I'll do is I'm more than happy to pop down and maybe bring you some soil where I know that there isn't any sort of like bindweed or anything that is untowards, or Japanese knotweed growing in there, because that's the last thing you want, is moving products around and you just get an infestation of something else, so look, we've got two beautiful beds. The soil, we just turn it over, we keep aerated, and you can keep top dressing through the course of the year as well. And once you've got that worm activity in there, those worms are going to start pulling everything down and start turning everything over and getting the organic matter working in it. So look, let me, if you want to just drop us a message sometime, I'm more than happy to come down and help. Would that be okay?
That would be fantastic. Thank you ever so much.
No, it'd be my pleasure. And we actually, just let you know, we have a rhubarb plant that we keep. And my wife has just moved it this year. And do you know, doesn't it look absolutely beautiful when that rhubarb is in full glory?
Yeah. It's just, I remember getting quite upset one year when we had a bit of a storm and it ripped a whole load of the stalks off, and I'm like, oi, it felt like my little baby. Leave it alone.
No, I know it's frustrating, isn't it? But don't they look good when they because the leaves of them look absolutely sort of huge, don't they? When do you actually cut the?
Did you know that they're poisonous?
I was going to say that now, but the leaves, yeah, they are poisonous. The leaves are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you when do you actually tell us, Sean? When do you actually start harvesting? When do you decide to cut? What's the factors that you decide to cut the rhubarb?
Well, it all kind of there's no set time as such, but it's when I tend to do it when the stalks get to kind of, I don't know, couple of feet long or so.
Yeah. Well, I remember
they start getting that nice reddish colour on part of it. So as long as they're there's no point. They're a decent width. They're nice and long, and make sure that I don't over pick it. So leave some there to provide. Because obviously the leaves are so big, they're good at providing shade so that the root ball doesn't dry out as well.
Absolutely. Do you know, Sean, I got to tell you this, as a young lad, I was brought up in the fields working over Hereford, sort of Worcester way, and we used to cut rhubarb. And I remember we'd sort of, I can't believe they used to let us have these long knives to cut the rhubarb and pack it, but we used to chew it. I mean, have you tried it? Have you tried it when it's raw?
I haven't tried raw rhubarb, no.
Yeah, well, you know what?
I think that would be a bit of a eye-watering.
Seriously, honest, we used to be there chewing it all day. We'd be in the sun working. Our parents would be having us out there working to all hours. But I remember, and normally it's when it does get nice and thick, you can see when it's ripening up a little bit, So just tell us quickly, how do you make your rhubarb jam? What's the process?
Oh, it was a few years ago that we did that one. I looked up just Googled a recipe and, boiled it all up, put some sugar in it, left it for a while, but it was amazing.
Was it really, yeah?
Really easy. And, did the whole thing of, again, kind of, I can't remember now exactly how we did it, but managed to do it so that when you pour it in the jars, you can get a really good seal on the lid so that it keeps well.
Yeah.
Because you get those little buttons, as it were, so the button wasn't popped up. So we knew that those ones we could just keep in the cupboard for, optimistically said a few years. We gobbled it up quite quickly.
Right. Okay.
Didn't last very long, but I still got some jars to make some more.
Isn't it nice when you can actually consume something?
We had in our old house, we had a really, really good crabapple tree.
Right, okay.
And I just couldn't face doing it at the time because I was just swamped with quite young children at that point. But I took, kilos and kilos of these crabapples over to my mum's, and she turned them into crabapple jelly. And my older son, who's a bit obsessed with porridge at the minute, has been having it in his porridge.
Oh, right, okay. Well, yeah, porridge is good. It seems to me as if your kids are going to be really healthy ones, aren't they?
Yeah.
Look, let's just drop us a message with your address, and I think what I like to do, I'd like to sort of help you in coming down, and if you want, I'll have a look. I can give you some advice and maybe help out a little bit. But what I can actually do, because I am a landscaper, I come across some beautiful soil sometimes, and we can maybe bring some soil down to you, and so you don't have to ensure that we make sure that you head on the right road.
That'll be absolutely fantastic. Thank
No,
you.
that'd be no problem, Sean. Sean, thanks for this. a rhubarb crumble at some point.
Yeah, I'll do a little stall at the front of my house.
Absolutely. Sean, thank you very much. Take care and be
Cheers,
safe.
Johnny.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
There you go. At last, this channel has had some diversity this morning. We're talking about all things on this channel. It's absolutely brilliant. It was great having Patrick on here, talking about that young lad, that migrant worker that's come all the way from Kurdistan, that is actually working with Patrick, and he's got a story to tell. And how often do we hear that word inspirational? But in this case, it was massively inspirational. And it was inspirational, and we value and we gauge inspirational in different ways. And it's absolutely fantastic to hear Sean talking with her kids, you know, that are actually planting in the garden and consuming what they're growing. I'm going to try and read some of these messages in a minute, and but I'm blown away by that. That's absolutely great. So I'm gonna, because Sean is local, we're gonna go down. We'll have a look and try and give her some help in ensuring that she's building those beds correctly, if she allows us to do that. And also, what we'll do, we'll probably get her some topsoil so she can top up. It's no problem at all whatsoever. We'll be able to get some soil from Sean. Do you know, you've got to be so careful when you're getting soil and where you're getting it from. You've got to make sure that when you're importing soil from anywhere, if it's local or up country, you've got to make sure that it's a trusted source. And sometimes they do come with some certification, because you don't want to be importing something that just is alien and is problematic for you in the future. You don't know what you're bringing into the garden. And certainly with all the massive influx of recycling that is being done now, which is good, but you've got to make sure that it's right. Just going to read some of the comments that were coming through there. John Ward, it's good to have John. John Ward says, my mate puts manure on his rhubarb. He says, I prefer custard myself. John, that's quite funny, actually. I like that. And there we have. Hi, Johnny. Can you use haunching to hold sides of sub base from falling away? Yeah, well, it depends. Not really holding sub base. Whenever you put a new area in, a new patio area, what you really should be doing is you should be using, unless there's something there to retain it, but haunching is necessarily, that's not going to do the job. It's not for sub base. It's for, normally you would do a haunching when you're using pin curbs and curbs, or you've put a brick edge in. That's when you put haunching is there to retain something else. Reese Wilson says, love the channel. Can I ask a stupid question? There's never a stupid question, Reese. I am starting a garden project, 50 square meters. I am looking to lay artificial grass and a 4 meters by 3 meters patio. Have you any ideas on how deep I should go on the sub? Well, Reese, what I was going to say is the number one rule is that you'll have people that will say that for domestic situations that it should always be a minimum of 100 mil for a sub base, then your laying course, and then your slab. And but your depth of your sub base will depend on your dig. So if you have a new development, say you were on a new development, when you go into these back gardens, sometimes there's an existing patio down there, and normally they have surplus to requirements on this site, and there's usually a load of sub base. And also what you find is that there's sub base up and down the back of the houses where the machines go tracking up and down, and they never go down very, very deep. It's a new development. So what you've got to do is, when you start digging, if you've got a piece of ground that is absolutely solid, you probably ain't going to need so much sub base. It's going to save you some money. But if you're digging down and you're going online and you're checking out and you think that it's got to be 100 mil minimum, the fact is, if under that sub base it's still soft, you still need to keep digging. So what we use sometimes, we use a stabilizer, and the stabilizer comes in the form of a branded name like Taram. Taram is a stabilizer to ensure that you don't get, when you see driveways and you get that what we call tracking and the undulation, you can see the shapes of the wheels. That's because the sub base is moved or gone down into usually clay more than often. So if you put a membrane literally you stretch a membrane flat all the way along the bottom on what we call the substrate being the dig. You put your sub base down on top of your membrane, your stabilizer, your geotextile underlay. Make sure that you use the right geotextile underlay. And then what that's going to do, that's going to be a stabilizer, and that's going to stop the tracking effect that you see in any driveway. And that's so important that you do that. But the more sub base, the better it is. But what you really want is when you've compacted that sub base, and remember, you need to compact that sub base at levels. Don't just put 6 inches in and 4 inches and think that you can compact it. If you put 2 or 3 inches, then compact, then a little bit more and compact again, and then maybe even blind it off, all according and depending on what you're actually using. Sub base is so important. If you want to give us a ring at any time, Reese, I'm more than happy to talk you through it. You can just drop us an email and we'll give you a call back. So there's no problem with that. Look, thanks for joining this morning. Really enjoyed it. Just going to read some of the comments that we still have on the YouTube channel, and I will be responding to them sometime on the weekend, because it's usually the weekend when I have a little bit of time. Got a question here from Harry. He says, do you have to use the Pedalo system as it's really expensive to buy? Already have a washboy kit. Can I wash the excess off with a hose pipe after use, or a soft brush to clean the surface? Well, can I wash off the excess with a hose pipe after use? Well, first of all, it depends on what sort of product that you're actually using. There are some products like Flow Point out there where that you just mix it up as a slurry mix. You put it over and then you can wash it off, because when it drops in the joints, it starts to heat up. I wouldn't necessarily be using that with the Easy Grade, though they say that in a little bit you're going to be okay. But you don't have to use the Pedalo system. No, you don't. You can use a normal washboy system, which is not expensive to buy, especially when you're doing a job. It's a great product to use. It's inexpensive, and it's about reward and risk. Well, the only thing that you've got to remember is that when you're squeezing the sponges out with the water, you've got to make sure you get most of the water out. So when you wipe over the top, that you're not adding water, okay? Because when you're adding water, right, you're the consistency of the grout system that you're using. You wouldn't necessarily use this with Mapai or BAL or Ardex, some of their systems. And I don't know if there are other systems there. If anybody wants to let me know what you're using, it'd be good to hear. Look, simply, years ago, I remember using a Veleda mop. And using a Veleda mop on sandstone, just to clean the sandstone quickly, wring it out, and just to avoid the joints when we had a cemented joints. But then with the cemented joints is that when you're going over the top, you're taking the cement out. So you've got to try and avoid those joints, let it go off a little bit, but try and keep your paving clean as you're pointing, no matter what you're using, just keep it clean. But that's a great comment from Harry there. John Ward says, ways too good to install on every occasion, doesn't cost a lot, considering the cost of the job and the peace of mind that we do it as the norm, John. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. Autocorrect, around autocorrect. Yeah, absolutely. Hello, Johnny from the Gare. Stephen Burrows. Good to see you, Stevens. It's good to see John Ward on here. I really appreciate John Ward coming on here, because sometimes when people ask questions on the live stream, John is on there straight away. He's more than capable and more than experienced to answer some of the questions that you have. So it's not just asking me questions. That's what we do on this group, because I ain't going to have, on this live stream, I ain't going to have all the answers. Simple as that. So what we do, we promote good dialogue. That's what we do. Alan Hunter, we got Alan Hunter. Great advice. I live in Denmark and planning laying my own patio. Denmark. I have been told not to lay sandstone in a mortar bed due to the frost here, but instead use a sharp sand base. I use 150mm Type 1 base. What do you think? We often get winters and frost to -6 to -12. Great channel. Thanks for the great advice. Well, Alan, this is a massive topic about whether we can use these types of mortars. I would suggest that sometimes you got to take the local advice. In America, they have this thing called the freeze belt. The freeze belt is where the ground gets massively frozen at temperatures that we're not used to in the UK. All I know is, Alan, that I think you need to take some advice on that, because by using a sharp sand, what's going to happen is that you're not going to have anything that's going to fragment. So that's what we call a flexible. And 30 mil slab is an heavy slab, so you can definitely lay it on a sand base. But there's a big but with this, that I know in Canada they do wet lay in Canada, and they wet lay on a concrete bed. So you can wet lay on a concrete bed as long as that wet mortar. There's a guy in America called Mike Haddock as well. Mike has been around for a long time, an old stonemason, and he talks about this as well. But I know that we had a meeting in Ball Adhesives last year, and they used a product out there. They was having in Switzerland, there was a failure on top of a roof of a hotel. It was failing and failing and failing with its paving, and they used an outdoor exterior system, and it's never failed since. So there are new products coming in to actually cope with that freeze thaw effect. But Alan, as I say to everyone else, I will answer this question at some point, but by laying on a sand bed, you are reducing your risk, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as it's well compacted and the water can get away. It's so important that you push the water on. There's John Ward. He's over here, and he's over here. John Ward says, "Hi, Johnyboy. Great stuff again, mate. Cream always comes to top fella. Comes to the top fella. Yeah, absolutely. You're so kind, John. I really appreciate it. Hope you've had a good week. It's the start of the mad season for us. Customers wanting things now. Looking forward to your podcast on Saturday." Well, here you are, John. Thanks for joining. It's good to read you. John, we need to talk. We need to talk at some point. Asif Hussein says, "Hi, how much is Easy Prime 15 kilogram tubs would you say you need for 30 square meters?" Well, I'll be totally honest with you, right? I should say this really, but I never look at the coverage of that with the Easy Prime, because it's all according of how much you're putting on. I tend to put it quite thick, Asif. But what I would say is that you can go to the Aspects website. You may be able to get some technical information on there. Go on it. It's www.aspects.co.uk, and you can find a locator in your area. And sometimes if you drop them an email, they will get back to you. But I always put it on thicker, so I can't really say whether it'll do for 15 kilogram tubs, 30 square meters. Probably that sounds about right, to be honest, all according to how thick you put on. Martin Bell says, "Isn't the patio meant to be 150 millimeters below DPC?" Well, there you are. That's another question. Not necessarily. If you go to the paving expert, Tony McCormack, he talks about bending the rule, okay? In commercial situations, you should never, he talks about never going above 2 below damp, which is 150 mil. But in domestic situations, you can come up to 1 below damp, okay? As long as you don't compromise the damp course or the brickwork and bridging it. It's the bridging that causes the problem. And there are lots of drainage systems to ensure that no water should bridge across to the superstructure being housed. So it doesn't necessarily mean 150 below DPC. And I know that they're putting new damp course systems in buildings now where you can come up to damp course level. It's all changing. It's not like it used to be. You need to check this out. You need to check out probably with the local authorities, Martin Bell. Let's have a look now. Craig, let me just get my glasses on. I can't see that. What's happening? Just read what John Ward says. Never building sand, always sharp sands. Sharp sands, yeah, absolutely. For the Midlands, yeah, always sharp sands. How many months' wages in advance you have on your own van and tools? How many months' wages in advance you have on your own van and tools? Not quite sure what that would mean. John Bull says, never building sand, always sharp sand for us under panel. Yeah, absolutely, always sharp sand. It's got to be. Gritty product is going to maintain its integrity. You can come over 200 millimeters, create a French drain if you're anywhere near the damp proof. There we are. There's the answers coming up. Robert Atkinson, message retracted. There's not actually happened there. Just read so Craig money would. Steve Burrows just joined. Just going to read some more of these more of these comments on here now. It's so important that people, if they are watching the live stream, they know I care what they say. Lee Handy says, morning, mate. Just caught you, lol. Lee Handy, Groundworks in Liverpool. Lee, good to see you, mate. I'm glad you joined us. Do you think a Pergo machine would work for cleaning process? Yeah, there are machines out there that'll actually take off some of the grout, and yeah, absolutely, Liam. But they are expensive, and I don't know if I can afford one at the moment. Anyway, yeah, but it would work absolutely. I'm going to find out about that Pergo machine. I know Raimondi do one as well, but I'm going to find out about the Pergo machine. That's why it's great having this YouTube channel, because you get so much information back. People will remind you of things. Ben Main says, hi Johnny, I just started my first porcelain patio, all thanks to the content you put out there. There you go. I have just left my job 13 years to start the journey becoming a landscaper. You have really inspired me to take the leap of faith. The information you give out is priceless. Keep up the great work. Isn't that nice when you have a message coming back like that? So I know that I'm doing some good. And if I have one of those messages once a week, it's absolutely fantastic. So Ben Main, well done. Crack on, son. Just do it and just follow your gut instinct. That's what you need to do. Follow your gut instinct. You can see John Ward says there straight away, good luck, fella. If you need any help or advice, just contact us. Is wishing you well. What a nice man. John Ward, you're blowing my mind. Absolutely brilliant. Stephen Evans says, agree. Just started mine too. Wouldn't normally do it myself, but these videos are quality. Brilliant. That's what it's about. Isn't it about helping people and being kind? It's not about what you receive. It's about what you give. And I just want to help people like everybody else. Rob Atkinson says, apologies if you have already covered this, John, but I see you recommending ceiling porcelain now. Are there any products you recommend? Rob, I'll be honest with you, mate. I've been down this road many times before, and I've been let down a little bit, and I thought that I was actually taking some advice that I thought was correct, and it wasn't necessarily correct. It wasn't spot on. It wasn't perfect, and it didn't do what they said it would do after I purchased it. And I believed in these people online. Recently, I've been doing some live streams with a gentleman called Ryan Boots. Ryan runs a company called Elemental, and they are producing a sealer. These guys are chemists, and Ryan's helped me to hugely understand about what's going on in the sealing world. And it's so important that you use a solvent impregnating sealer that's going to go right down, not right the way down, but get down into your paving. And we've talked about this, there are water-based breathable sealers that can work on limestone, I believe now. But you need to seal your porcelain. And the reason you need to seal your porcelain, because like all surface, even a piece of glass has what we call things called micropores, and things get down into them. If you feel the top of your porcelain, sometimes it's not all smooth and shiny, and even if it was, it still have micropores. Some of them have these matte finish, and the dirt does get down into them, and it will discolor at some point. It's almost like cleaning a car. And you need to clean your car no matter what car you have. But the thing that you need to remember is that a lot of the grout systems that we're using now are cementitious grout systems, and they're the ones that you should be using on your porcelain. And it's the cementitious grout systems where the water and the muck is going to go down into there, and your grouts, because we live in a country where we have great precipitation, a lot of rain, a lot of downfall of rain throughout the course of the year, right? Not just in the winter time, your joints are going to go green. So it's important that you seal your joints. And when you seal your joints, it's going to stop it going green. There's nothing worse when those customers have spent a huge amount of money on their garden, and if you get that green in your joints, and you see all the squares, it looks artistic, but it's not good for your paving whatsoever. I'm going to read what John says there. Silicon products look good. I've seen new water-based products meeting new environmental requirements for fade badly, and a waste of time as regards porcelain. A waste of time as regards. I think, John, what we've got to think about is, like I said, about the cementitious grout system, and it's the grout systems where they're the ones that actually go green. Yes, so. It looks like Ryan will be producing a sealer, and we'll be able to sort of let you know of how they work. They go through all the rigorous testing as well. There is a couple of good companies there, but there's less of them as opposed to good of them. And sealing porcelain, I think it is important, John. I really do. Certainly because of the grouts as well. That's it. I just have this moment where I just absolutely start to flag, and I've just about had it. I got a lot of things to do on my own property. I've just had a skip delivered. What are you guys paying for your skips? What are you paying for your skips? We used a company this morning. Good service, to be fair. They were polite, well mannered, and they couldn't exactly give you a time, but they said it was going to be AM. So that was okay. The skips arrived, and it worked out about £250, I think, for the skip. And we can be filling that skip the weekend or over the next week. I've got a few jobs that I don't normally do. I'm finishing off my log store on the back, putting that slate up, getting it dry. There is board on there, there is felt on there. Just got the back end to do, but it's a bit of an awkward spot to get to. So that's it. Thanks for joining YouTube. Big thanks to ITS and everybody else that have joined. Patrick Dyer and Sean as well, talking about rhubarb. We were talking rhubarb this morning on Landscape Survival with Johnyboy. No, Green Top Landscapes. I got it wrong again. Have a great day. Be safe. See you soon.